All right, a minute, 20 seconds with our friend Shawne Merriman before the radio audience returns. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, too.
How much ink do you have? What do you have?
17.
17 tabs?
17
But
tabs.
who's counting?
Yeah, I stopped counting after
What was the
10.
first?
My lights out one, actually, when I was in high school, my sophomore year.
That's where you got it.
That's where I got it.
And you got that because you were...
Knocked out 4 people in one game. My sophomore year in high school. Yeah.
4 people in one game.
Yeah, 3 in the first half.
Okay. And so who was the one who used the phrase lights out?
Me. You know,
You
it was
You
about
nicknamed yourself?
Well, what happened was right after the game, I would say about 20 students come running up to me after the game, and they said, "Man, you knocked these guys' lights out." And I just played it cool, and I said, "Yeah, call me Lights Out." And that name, it stuck with me all the way through high school, college, and then the pros.
Huh.
Yeah.
And so then you got the tat.
I got the tattoo my sophomore year. I begged my mom actually to take me, and I said, "Man, we got to, people called me Lights Out. I got to get a tattoo, represent."
And then, so your sack dance in the NFL, it looked like you were just doing it, but it was you literally turning your ink on and off.
On and off. But my freshman year at the University of Maryland almost got me pulled out the game by Ralph Friedgen on ESPN for doing a dance. So I didn't listen too much, obviously.
Shawne Merriman here on the show. Back with more in a moment. All right, welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. Follow him on Twitter at Shawne with an E. Merriman, 3-time NFL Pro Bowler, 8 seasons in the league with the Chargers and the Bills, who play each other week number 2, with an interesting possibility of what could go down in the parking lot, as we saw on Twitter with our next guest from the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation as well, Shawne Merriman. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too, Rich.
I appreciate you did the pod with me and my wife the other day. And
we didn't even talk football.
We didn't. We hardly talked football at all.
Right.
But she also knew you back in the day when she covered you at Maryland.
Yeah.
You know, from back in the day. And you just told an interesting story about how Ralph Friedgen almost kicked you out of a game or sat you down or benched you because you were doing too much of a lights out dance.
Yeah, he did. My freshman year at the University of Maryland, because I got the light switch on the right forearm, I made a big hit against Georgia Tech, and he yanked me out of the game and told me if I ever did the dance again, I'll never play here again. And obviously I didn't listen, so that stuck around.
So I guess if you keep sacking the quarterback, you can do your dance as much as possible.
Hey, he ripped me down the middle. I mean, he really tore me up. But when I got to the sidelines, my teammates and the rest of the coaches, they loved it. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I knew I did something right.
Right. No. What are your thoughts on what's going on at Maryland right now?
It's tough because you have a coach or coaches trying to come in and change their environment, trying to change the culture. But first things first, you have to protect the players. And a young man lost his life that could have been avoided. So you never want to push guys or players to the point where exhaustion to when they having some kind of health problem. Because from what I understood, he told the coaches or told staff and people around that, hey, I'm having a problem, and this whole thing could have been avoided. So it's sad. It's sad all the way around because University of Maryland, I really feel like was on the come up. Had a great job of recruiting, some really good things going on at the school. But when you got a young man that loses his life, now the focus is on that.
Well, did Durkin ever reach out to you? Because I know coaches reach out to alums, and you are one of significance from Maryland. Did he ever reach out to you?
Yeah, we stayed in contact here and there, but I talked to really a lot of people on the staff and some of the people who were still there at the University of Maryland when I was there. And I had my annual coat drive there every year, going up my 16th annual coming up this fall.
Your coat drive.
Winter coat drive at the University of Maryland. Mm-hmm. But it's just so much going on there, and it's one of these things where you don't want to come down on the coaches because I didn't know everything that happened just yet. I think they were still going through what the situation was. But when I found out that this thing could have been avoided, it was terrible.
So did you hear of, hey, coach is a little out of control, or what's going on here?
Yeah, it was always a little bit of that those rumblings, and I saw a big article. I think it was written in the Baltimore Sun or Washington Post about some of the guys and coaches just going overboard and not respecting the players. And, you want to come in, like I said, you want to change the culture. You want to change set the tone in the locker room, especially when you have these new coaches coming in. But there's a point where you have to protect the players, and I don't think that happened.
Shawne Merriman here on the Rich Eisen Show, and while we're on the subject of serious matters, so many players come off the field, certainly in a position like you played, where there was always a collision on every play, and you were the one creating the collision.
Yeah.
Players step off the field, and they're concerned about what's going on inside their skulls with their brains. And you are now entering the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation. Why are you doing that, Shawne?
Rich, it's funny. We talked about it some time ago, and I've always said that if the right opportunity came about for a fight, that I was going to take it. And I've talked to some other leagues, and I've been wanting this for a long time. Being around these fighters for the last 12 or 13 years of my life, training with them, being around them, I said, look, I always wanted to do this, but the opportunity never presented itself. So when they reached out, it couldn't be more perfect for what I wanted to do. So I think we got a date set November 9th, and we're going to get it on.
Yeah, no, you are, but you're not concerned about your health or anything like that?
Well, people should be more concerned about the other person's health.
Okay.
But for me, it's about training. I love being around these guys, and I totally respect the game, respect these fighters, and which is why I never got into it to try it out. Because fighting to me is not something you try out. You don't go and say, hey, I want to go test this out and see how this goes. No, you do it or you don't do it. Mm-hmm. And, when I made a commitment some time ago to go in and do it, World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation stepped up, it was going to happen.
Yeah, you're fighting late fall in Casper, Wyoming.
Yes, sir.
The Rise of the Titans, a global pay-per-view event, and you started your training here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm here in L.A., and this pay-per-view, man, I mean, that's for me to come and do what I did on the field. Right. And I love the game of football. I don't think there's anything I could have done better and wanted to do as I was growing up, but I always thought the bigger opportunity was waiting for me. For me, this is it.
Right. And you're training here, are you with Glaze?
Yeah, I'm with Glaze at Unbreakable Gym. I won't talk about him too much after this. I mean, that's the most I'm going to talk about Jay. Okay. No, that's my man. But, so I get a chance to be around, some great fighters, some great trainers. Okay. I'm in the gym probably about 3 or 4 hours a day. Joe Schilling, I'm also going to work with him. So I get a chance to just be around some great fighters, which I have been for the past 12 or 13 years.
How's your stare down game? Because when you're gonna be fit, do you know who you're fighting yet, or you don't know?
No, but at this point it doesn't matter.
Okay, so you just how is that? Are you working on that? Your stare down game at all? Like, you're gonna have to stand in front of somebody and listen.
You can stare down as many people as you want, but when that bell rings, the staring goes away.
No, we've had fighters on. Brockman, you can back me up on this. We've had fighters on, and it's apparently the first time you ever do the coming together stare down.
Right.
And you're so close to another human being.
How much?
Tough. It's tough to not laugh.
Right.
It's tough to not understand if the other individual is A, not showered, or B, has some form of a halitosis situation going on, and that could throw you off. I'm just trying to walk you through this, Shawne.
Yeah,
by the way, I'm not going to give you tips on how to bare knuckle fight. That I'm a blank slate.
Well, you're going to need a whole lot more than a bad breath to get out of this loss.
Okay.
So
all right, I'm just saying in the stare down situation.
If that works, they can try it.
So let's put your paparazzi hat on a little bit for this National Football League season coming up. Who do you think has the best team going in this year? Who do you like for this 2018 NFL season?
This season is wild because you can have a team like the Eagles that have Carson Wentz back and they have a chance to repeat. I mean, they're practically the main part of their teams is back. You always got to throw the Patriots up there a little bit somewhere, right? Because they just find a way to win football games no matter who they have coming in and outside the door. But also, my former team, the Chargers. You have to look at them because last year and the road that they went and winning 9 straight and starting out on 4 with a brand new coach, moving from, they made the big move from San Diego to LA. They don't have those distractions this year. So on paper, and someone asked me the other day, but on paper, it's probably the best team they had since the mid-2000s. Mm-hmm. They just can't fall in that trap and listening to the outside people and really going and just taking care of business.
How much of a red ass is Philip? I mean, give me the behind the scenes here.
I mean,
because he's just, I love interviewing him.
Yeah,
I love his energy. His positive energy. It's incredible. He's got all those kids, his family life, but when he puts on the helmet, he seems to just turn into a different guy.
Philip is he's the biggest competitor I've ever had a chance to play with. Number one, not a linebacker, not a D lineman, offensive. No, Phillip. He cares about winning that much. And everything he does and goes about his day is about winning. I'll never forget, some of the earlier seasons that I had early on in the mid-2000s when we started out 0-2 and 0-3. Phillip would get us together and get everybody ready to run through a wall. I mean, he gave those type of speeches. And when you have a quarterback that's willing to go out and lay it out in the line, and he wants to win that bad, himself, he can get other guys going to make things happen.
What would he give me an example of what the speech
Well, first of all, he never cursed. So it was hard. It's always hard to give the best speeches, but he did. And never dropped.
It's more effective if he dropped an F-bomb or something like that?
I was this close from getting him to drop an F-bomb one time. And I thought I did, and I was going to be the first one to ever do it, and he didn't do it. And I knew that if I couldn't get him to do it, then it wasn't possible. So
he never curses, huh?
Never cursed, not one time. And that's what kind of weird, right? Because you hear people say these things about Phillip, and obviously the opponents and fans or whatnot.
Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Right.
But, he has a whole bunch of jerking motion with his head. He's pointing his finger, but he's saying all positive things. And it really creeps you out. And so I don't know. He's just, he's somebody that you can always count on being there no matter what. And long after his physical play, when he can't throw the ball down, 60 yards, 70 yards down the field anymore, do these things, his drive and spirit to win and compete is going to take him much further.
So when we see him, say, barking at his own sideline to keep the punt team from coming on, because it's 4th and 19, he still thinks he's going to make it, right? Or when we see him barking at Jay Cutler across the field, when we see him at somebody on another team, never once is it a curse word, is what you're saying?
Not one time, ever. And Phillip was at NC State when I was at the University of Maryland, which he never won against me, by the way. I just want to make that clear.
Did you sack him?
Oh, yeah. He was the only quarterback, actually, at the end of the game, his senior year.
Yes.
I was laying on him, and as I was getting up, he was twisting my ankle.
What?
He was twisting my ankle, and he squared up with me in the end zone. And at that point in time, I knew that this was a different cat.
Phillip Rivers.
Oh, yeah. He squared up with me in the end zone. He was ready to go. And so by luck of the draw, I get drafted by the Chargers in 2005, and I'm playing with this guy that I just finished squaring up in the end zone. But he's, just outside of him being a great football player, he's just a great person all around.
A couple more minutes here with Shawne Merriman. I want you to tell the Ray Lewis story because I paraphrased it. You told it again on the podcast that I do with my wife, Susie. You told this story. I had no idea, although it makes sense that you played football in the Mid-Atlantic and you're from the area, that Ray Lewis would reach out to you at some point to try and counsel you or talk to you or whatever, be a mentor. But you're tight with Ray, correct?
Yeah, and I have been since I was, practically a kid, 16, 17 years old. His younger brother, Keon Lattimore, played running back at the University of Maryland. So that's where I kind of got really close with Ray and whatnot. But Ray and I, we used to talk 30, 45 minutes every Saturday night before a game on Sunday.
Ray Lewis would be getting ready for a Ravens game himself professionally and call you up here in Southern California. Yeah,
we would talk almost just about every night before every game, just about the game plan and what we're going to do. And he would always say, let me tell you something here, Shay. He was coming with Shay. Let me tell you something here, Shay. You got to go out and be a lion for 60 minutes. I'm going to run through everything, right? So I'm sitting there. It got to the point where I had to not talk to him anymore because I couldn't sleep. I would get so hyped up from us just going back and forth with what we're going to do on Sunday that I would have to hang up the phone and get off the phone with him. So I got the honor and the privilege to be there doing his Hall of Fame induction. I was actually in the hotel room
when he got the knock.
When he got the knock, and I got there about a couple hours before. They tell you to be in a room from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. You have to be there an hour and stay in a room.
And who's in the room? So
it's Ray, his mom, and Keon, his brother. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting there, and I'm nervous. I'm a nervous wreck. You would have thought that I was someone's coming to knock for me, but I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and we hearing knocks, and there's people coming in and out the room, but it wasn't
the hall.
It wasn't the hall. And I got to the point where the third knock, I was like, man, y'all got to stop. You got to stop, because I got to the point where I felt honestly like I was about to pass out, because every knock, 3:15, 3:25, 3:45. finally, like around 4:05 or 4:10, they came and knocked. And to me, that was so special to be a part of because, for one, I always looked up to Ray as an older brother, as a mentor, somebody who I wanted to emulate my game like. And to be there on the biggest stage, the biggest day in your football life was amazing.
What was the weekend like? You were part of his group in Canton, right?
Yeah, so I was also invited out to Canton and spent time with his family, his mom and friends. And the event or party he had the night before the Hall, I knew everyone in there because they were either from the Ravens or Maryland. So that was kind of my affiliation, and it was special. It was a special weekend for me. I got the opportunity and the honor to go out for LT action to come out LaDainian for his.
You've done back-to-back years.
Back-to-back. I got a couple more left.
Who do you have?
Well, Antonio Gates and then Phillip Rivers. Hopefully Lorenzo Neal, because he deserves to be in the Hall too.
You know, would you not agree, Chris? There's an argument as to whether Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer. What would you say?
There is an argument. I don't think there should be one.
Because he's never won a ring. Well, Fouts is in. He never won a ring either. And
Phillip has broken all of Dan's records.
You can't compare the years are just different. The game's different. The rules are different. I mean, but I understand what you're saying, Chris. Right. But
yeah, when this thing is said and done, I mean, Phillip will have more than enough numbers to get in. It just matters of, I guess, the opinion of the board and whether he should get in or not, or whether he's going to be a first ballot. I'm biased, so I'm obviously going to say he should be in. Antonio Gates, he'll be another one of the first ballot, and Lorenzo Neal, best fullback to ever play the game.
That's a tough order, getting a fullback in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but he's the last one of the dying breed that should get in, because the game has changed now where fullbacks aren't as big a part of the game as they used to be. But when it was, he was the best at it.
Good to have you here, man. I'd love to have you as much as you want to come here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. So we'll find out shortly who you're fighting for the World Bare Knuckle Fighting Federation. In the meantime, go to lightsoutbrand.com because you're selling athletic and lifestyle apparel. Correct?
That's right.
You're wearing it right now.
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely.
This black T-shirt with the Lights Out logo. That's a face of people of somebody whose eyes are X'd out.
Exactly. Lights out.
Because you've not knocked it out. What a perfect nickname for your next endeavor of World Bare Knuckle Fighting. Good to see you, Shawne.
Thank you.
You got it. Phone lines are lit about the best conference in college. You want to answer that question? Best conference in college football going in 2018?
No, I'm going to stay away from it. I'm going to say Big Ten, but I know everybody's going to say SEC. So
is that where things currently stand right now? The SEC taking over or no?
No, Big Ten. 42,
okay, cool.
42%.
I've pounded the table for the Big Ten, top, bottom. But there's a lot of folks on the phone. I knew we'd smoke Big Al from Alabama out, and he's on hold.
I know.
Okay, we'll take some phone calls when we come back. Shawne Merriman here on The Rich Eisen Show. Thank you for coming by. Follow him, Shawne with an E, Merriman, here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.